We're going back to 2017 and we're going to take a look at the NFL draft. I'm going to give you a redraft. Oh yes, this is the same draft that produced Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Myles Garrett, man, TJ Watt, and the running back talent in here was mwah. It really screws with me because I don't like drafting running backs in the first round. I think you can get quality running backs later in the draft. But some of these guys, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Owen Kamara, how can I pass on those guys? They do so much outside of just running the rock. So this was definitely by far the most toughest, let's go with that, toughest redraft I've had to do. Like, this one was incredibly tough because there is definitely a lot of good talent early in the draft, early for the first round, and it gets a lot tougher in the second half. So you know what, we all got good takes, we all got bad takes. You're not gonna agree with everything I have to say here, but screw it, I'm gonna say it anyway, and you'll let me know in the comment section below. By the way, if you want to check out this simulator, it'll be in the link in the description below. If you haven't already, check me out on the Flick Sports app. Yes, Flick Chat is where it's at. I'm at the Never Too Early Draft group. It's basically sports Discord. There'll be a link in the description below. You can check that out. We just out there talking NFL draft and NFL draft prospects and NFL, man. We talk all kinds of football in there. It's the best way if you want to talk to me. I'm trying to get it to 100 people, so help a brother out. By the way, who am I? What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that beautiful thumbs up if you enjoy the video. Even if you don't, give me a thumbs up because I tried. And subscription is free. Go ahead and do that, sucker. You can leave me whenever you want. Lord knows my wife might. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. Also, if you haven't already, follow me on the Twitch. I'm at Broshmo Gaming. I Twitch on Mondays. No, I don't. I'm on YouTube on Mondays. You should check me out. I stream Monday Night Football. We're watching it along to Monday Night Football. You can watch in the convenience of your own home. But if you want to chat, about the game or sports, come check me out. But I do the same thing for Thursday Night Football at Twitch, so check me out there. Let's go ahead. Let's quit stalling for time. Let's do the dang thing. Let's get into it. I'm going to switch over here. Yes. Solomon Thomas. He ain't going to the first round. Spoiler alert. But we're here with the Cleveland Browns, man. Who do they have at quarterback? Nobody. Let's just go ahead. Let's solve their quarterback problems right now. They don't have to worry about Kaiser and whoever the Tyrod Taylor, other guys. They don't have to worry about quarterback anymore. We're going to get them the best quarterback in the league in Patrick Mahomes. It just makes sense. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. Easily probably one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the league right now. Now on to the San Francisco 49ers, and you can guess we're not going to move off the quarterback position. They started Brian Hoyer in 2017. I'm not cool with that. We can do better. Watson, he's been a top 10 quarterback since entering the league, and he's honestly the only other good quarterback in this class. Sorry, Mitch Trubisky. Mitch might get redrafted here. You never know. There were places where I thought about it. But we go Deshaun Watson. Just makes sense. So the top two quarterbacks, they're off the board. Sucks for the Bears. They would have loved a quarterback. Very unfortunate. Now they're going to have to stick it out with Mike Glennon, who they gave 3 years, $45 million to. So that's their starting quarterback. I mean, we could go Mitch Trubisky here, but let's be honest, we're not. This was really tough. I mean, we're going to go edge here. It's going to be Garrett. It's going to be Watt. And because let's just save the Bears some draft picks. That way they don't have to go after Khalil Mack. So we know we're going. Oh, wow. We're going Garrett or we're going Watt. And this one was really tough for me. Really, I think you can't go wrong with either option. I ended up going with Myles Garrett. If you were like, oh, you should have totally went with Watt, I understand. It was a tough decision. Both are some of the best pass rushers in the game right now. So Jacksonville Jaguars, guess who they have a quarterback? Blake freaking Bortles. This was a super tough pick as well because I couldn't leave him with Blake Bortles, but unfortunately that had to be the case. So yeah, what can we do to help Blake Bortles out here? We could go tackle, man, get him some help, maybe receiver. I decided against both those. I said let's just keep stacking this defense so they can at least give Blake Bortles as many shots as he needs on offense. I mean, this defense too was extremely scary in 2017. I decided to give him one of the most versatile safeties in football right now. I know he's in a bit of a down season, Jamal Adams, but what he can do, I mean, you could really move him wherever. He's a very unique chess piece as a safety. I mean, he could be a pass rusher. He could line up in the slot, outside. You could throw him deep. The guy is very, very versatile, very good. And I mean, yeah, I mean, this is kind of just putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm, but could go quarterback in 2018. And then the Tennessee Titans, I think this is kind of, I mean, the only pass rusher they have on the roster is Brian Orakpo, and he will retire at the end of the 2018 season. And I mean, TJ Watt is just phenomenal, man. He's been great since entering the league. It makes sense that he's JJ's brother, so we're going there. I think that kind of goes without saying. So very interesting. I mean, you got to say these guys are all at the top of their positions currently in the NFL. It makes sense. So with the Jets, looking at the Jets roster, dude, I mean, you could tell this team was going from bad to worse. Like you could tell this team was about to be in a tailspin. If there was a quarterback here I could have picked for him, I would. Unfortunately, there's not. And I was looking at the Jets roster, and there's really no one noteworthy at corner outside of Morris Claiborne. But let's be honest, let's get these guys, let's get them a nice young corner. And my top corner actually in this draft is Marlon Humphrey. And if you don't follow the cat on Twitter, he's funny. But yeah, I went with Marlon Humphrey. He's one of the best young corners in the league currently. So I went for value here. And then we have the Los Angeles Chargers. And there were a variety of ways we could have went here. But I decided, hey man, they don't have Hunter Henry just yet, right? They don't have Hunter Henry on this roster just yet. Let's get him freaking George Kittle, because he is worth a top 10 pick when healthy. The guy's phenomenal, man. Whether he's a blocker or going out for a pass, Phillip Rivers would love a nice big body target here. They drafted Mike Williams here, but I think they would be happy with George Kittle. And then I'm about to trigger some Carolina Panther fans, because you'd be like, okay, Christian McCaffrey, it makes sense. I ain't going Christian McCaffrey. I talked about at the beginning of the video my stance on running backs. How many wins has Christian McCaffrey really led to this roster? He's been wonderful. He is special. He's definitely, I think, deserving of a top 15 pick in this draft. And you'd be like, well, I mean, does it a receiver? It's like, yes, but looking at the receiving core Cam Newton had to work with here, I think it was like, what, Devin Funchess and Kelvin Benjamin? Ugh, disgusting. He needs more talent at receiver. And also, they have Jonathan Stewart at running back. So really, drafting Christian McCaffrey here is a team that is drafting like this is a luxury pick. When you're drafting in the top 10, dude, typically, unless you trade it in there, you're not drafting because of luxury. You're drafting because you have some serious needs that need to be addressed. So I went with the guy that definitely, in hindsight, is worth a top 10 pick. I think he's a very good receiver. I'm going with Chris Godwin here. So that'll probably be a very divisive pick in the comment section. And I look forward to seeing all the hate, man. It just fuels me. Oh, and guess what? I'll give a little heart too. I'll like it anyway, man. Just freaking that guy. All right, we're here with the Bengals. We saw what happened with Burrow, and guess what? This Bengal offensive line wasn't much better in 2017. They had guys like Jake Fisher and Cedric Ogabihi, I can't say his name. I can't pronounce it. He's the cat, former cat from, I think it was Texas A&M. Both not good. So I went with one of the best right tackles. He's probably the best right tackle. One of the best tackles in general in football. I went with Ryan freaking Ramczyk. The dude has been phenomenal for the Saints. I think he's very, in my terms, underrated and underappreciated. It's definitely worthy of a top 10 pick. The guy's great. Here we are with the Buffalo Bills. This pick will always forever be known for the Chiefs trading up for Patrick Mahomes for this pick. Now, the Bills, they got themselves a nice haul as well. They were able to trade all the way down to, I think, like 28 or something to get Tre'Davious, and he's been very good for them. Now, in this redraft, there's no way White is currently my next highest corner. There's no way he lasts till the Bills pick. So I think they stick here. They go ahead and they grab White because he is good. He is very good. So I like how this draft is panning out. So this is actually, we're going to talk luxury picks. The Saints, this is a luxury pick for them because what? They'll be drafting again all the way at like 30 or something. Oh, even better at 32. Holy moly. But yeah, this Saints team, I mean, what do you do? They had Michael Thomas. They just got him the year before. You would love to get Ryan Ramczyk. He's off the board. You could probably go corner, Marshawn Lattimore. I'm a bit indifferent about that. So I'm not going to lie, dude. I kind of went the luxury pick route here. There's no Alvin Kamara on the roster yet. But I'm grabbing Christian McCaffrey. I know, man. I know. Can you just imagine what Sean Payton would do with Christian McCaffrey? It would just be absolutely bonkers. You see what he... Like, honestly, him and Alvin Kamara, they were very... very close on my boards here in general in terms of my running back rankings, but I mean Christian McCaffrey, man, the Saints, that's just wild. Cleveland Browns here. You got Mahomes now. Let's get him some weapons because the boy didn't have weapons. I think it was Kenny Britt was on this roster. Could be wrong about that. I think no, it was Kenny Britt. He's probably the best receiver on that roster there. So I went receiver again, and I had to struggle to find this cat because he's all the way down here. We're going Kenny Galladay. I know he's been kind of hurt this season, but when on the field, the guy is phenomenal, man, phenomenal. I thought he was gonna really have a big year this year. He had a big year last year, and unfortunately injury. 2020 has been a weird year. Can you imagine Mahomes and Kenny Galladay, that connection in Cleveland? Holy freaking moly. Now, here we are at the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they have no one opposite at this point, no one opposite of Patrick Peterson. And I decided to go corner. And the next corner off my board here is Adoree Jackson. And I think he's very similar to Peterson in some ways. I think this guy's very, very underrated. And especially when healthy, man, he's one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. He's only allowed a completion rate of 60% over his career. He has 34 career pass breakups. The guy's been very solid, and I think they would welcome Adoree Jackson open armed. That's just my opinion, though. All right, on to the Eagles. This one's kind of weird, and this is where I start doing things that I don't like in my draft because I was looking at the Eagles roster, and I was very surprised by how there was a lot of depth on this roster. And keep in mind, it's this season after the draft that this team goes to the Super Bowl. Now, this is a bit of a luxury pick, I admit. It is what it is. But imagine how much easier it would have been for this team after Carson Wentz having a career year goes down. They have to go to Nick Foles. If they actually had some sort of, if they had running backs, because they were just really trusting guys like Corey Clement. What was it? Who was that cat the Dolphins drafted out of Boise State? Can't remember. But imagine if they had a competent workhorse. And you might be like, Alvin Kamara. No, I'm going Dalvin Cook, man. Dalvin Cook is phenomenal, man. I love Dalvin Cook. For me, he's one of the best running backs in the league. So is Alvin Kamara. But I would just say I have Cook higher on my board. Can you imagine him on that roster behind that offensive line? Oh my goodness, Nick Foles. Man, he won't have to do nothing. So a bit of a luxury pick here. 2 running backs going by the time the 15th pick rolled around. I know we live in strange times. The Indianapolis Colts. I would have loved getting Andrew Luck some protection here. But the only guy I was kind of like seeing here was probably Garrett Bortles, who he don't get love, unfortunately. Doesn't get love. And I honestly, this offensive line class pass for like maybe a handful of guys isn't really good. But instead of Malik Hooker's, who they spent the pick here on, I'm going to grab a guy who's been an absolute playmaker in the secondary. And I'm grabbing, where is he at? Eddie Jackson, dude's been phenomenal for the Bears. So I think it would be a much bigger upgrade than Malik Hooker. Now we're on to the Ravens, and I was looking, Joe Flacco, he don't got many weapons here. He's got a big arm. And you know what goes well with a big arm? A big-bodied contested catch guy downfield. While he went much higher in real life here. I'm going to go ahead and grab Mike Williams, man. This guy is just nasty downfield. He's a highlight reel of just contested catches that are like 30 or 40 yards down the field. He's phenomenal. I think Flacco really would have loved a guy like that. And then we're on to the Washington football team, and unfortunately, this isn't a very sexy pick. Because I could have gone cornerback here. There were a few that I was like, oh, you can make a case. Receiver, they have Jamison Crowder at the time, and the receivers kind of left on the board I thought were more slot guys, at least early in their career. So I didn't go there either. I decided to keep their pick the same, and I went with Jonathan Allen, who's actually been very, very good. He's been very consistent. I don't think Washington regrets drafting him, so I think we're going to just do more of the same here for the football team. And then the Tennessee Titans, I was looking here, and it's surprising how pretty good this safety class has been. And they took Kenny Vaccaro. He's been decent for him, but they didn't have him on the roster yet. So let's get him a better box guy. And you may be like, well, box safeties don't really go in the first round. I'm willing to make an exception for freaking Budda Baker, who's been very good once Arizona kind of figured out his role in that offense. And can you imagine just pairing him with Kevin Byard? I mean, honestly, between Baker and what they got Watt early in the draft, that's a heck of a hole for the defense, dude. TJ Watt and Budda Baker in the first round, dude. The Titans defense is looking scary. Now we're on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and things get interesting here because I went with corner because the corner position really sucked. It really sucked. I mean, it was bad. I think they had Brent Grimes was probably the most consistent corner at this time, and he's like what 30 something at this point. So I went with the most Jameis Winston prospect in this draft class. I went with Marshawn Lattimore. Like, because this guy, especially his rookie season, this guy can be a lockdown corner week 1 versus the very best in the league. And then the following week, he will let Joe Schmo, Broshmo, go for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, honestly, this kind of feels like a match made in heaven for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the time. And plus, honestly, the upside of Lattimore is it's very hard to pass. So I grabbed him, Marshawn Lattimore. He's literally the Jameis Winston of the cornerback position. And then the Denver Broncos, no one's going to like this. I know they're not. But you know what? Screw it. Garrett Bowles, he's been really good, actually, for the Broncos. I'm not going to lie to you. The Broncos quarterback room really sucked. I was very much so considering Mitch Trubisky here. But instead, I went with this. I know it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but Bowles, he's actually been very good for the Broncos over his career. The biggest thing with him was holding calls, man, penalties. This guy was a penalty machine. You know what? This year, he has his penalties down, and I don't think this was a bad pick for the Broncos, so I'm going to stick with it. The Detroit Lions, and you know what? I would have loved to got a pass rusher here for the Lions. There isn't one to be found in the rest of this draft. If we're gonna be honest, there's one guy in particular, but I decided against that to snag the Lions, Alvin Kamara. How long have the Lions been looking for a running back? You might have it now in DeAndre Swift, but let's just solve their running back problems here, man. They've gone through plethora of running backs, but this guy, Kamara is so much more than a running back, man. He can move all around the offense. The dude is just an offensive weapon, if we're being honest, and I think he would be very welcome there in Detroit. The Miami Dolphins, man, really wanted to get Alvin Kamara, let me tell you that, but I'm a Dolphins fan, just in case you didn't know. Fins up, baby. I really wanted a Kamara, but people would say I was cheating the draft just so I could get the best player for the Dolphins. It is what it is. But the Dolphins, I think I still got them a very good player, and he's actually a teammate of Alvin Kamara. I went with Marcus Williams. A lot of people, everyone, I'm not going to say everyone, people think he is a bad safety. Because guess what? Freaking Minneapolis Miracle. That's the only thing they think of when they think of Marcus Williams. He's been one of the better safeties in the league since entering. This dude he just happened to be on the wrong side of history on one play. This guy's been very good, and it's a real shame because it really shows you how one play could really tarnish your perception of a player. The guy has been good. The Dolphins at this point, they have I think Nate Allen out of South Florida at this point on the roster, and TJ McDonald, who ended up playing I think only a couple of games for the Dolphins. So I think they would be happy. Both of those guys didn't work out. They would be ecstatic to have a guy like Marcus Williams. And then the New York Giants. I was tempted to go corner here because Shaquille Griffin's on the board. Again, it was tempted, but that offensive line was really, really bad for the Giants. And I decided to go, he's actually listed as an interior player, Deion Dawkins. He's been very solid for the Bills at left tackle. And honestly, the Giants, they could use some consistency on that line. I think they would have loved a guy like Dawkins. Here we are at the current Oakland Raiders. And let's just surround Derek Carr with better weapons, because I think at this point they got Amari Cooper, who wasn't long for the team during the season. And they have Seth Roberts, Michael Crabtree. I ended up grabbing a receiver, and I grabbed him Cooper Kupp, man. Cooper Kupp. And the reason Cooper Kupp kind of falls out here, because Cooper Kupp's phenomenal, is because he really struggled with press. He struggled to be productive on the outside through the first majority of his beginning of his career. And it really wasn't until this season where he was able to produce extremely well as an outside receiver. And the dude's phenomenal after the catch. He is actually a pretty solid red zone target this season and last season. So yeah, Cooper Kupp, man, you could honestly leave, if you're the Raiders, leave this cat in the slot as he develops, and then bam, you got a beautiful outside receiver there. And then the Houston Texans, you know who their starting quarterback at the time here was? Tom Savage. I was looking at quarterback, I was like, does Mitch Trubisky go here, man? I'm very tempted, because there are a lot of things to like about Mitch Trubisky, but let's be honest, he would literally be thrown into the lion's den at this point, because I mean, if you're gonna start Tom, are you gonna start Tom Savage over Mitch Trubisky? Might be a case there. But you know what? The next quarterback class, I'm like, you know what? We can go there again. Instead, I was like, well, let's go with a pass rusher, because there is a guy I think that's very good for this defense, because I believe he should still be on the board. I went with Hassan Reddick. He's a guy that you could kind of move around the linebacking core. And I mean, they have Clowney at this time, who they play they play him on the line. They play him as a stand-up pass rusher. And then can you imagine just getting Riddick involved in that? I think that would make for a good addition and a very scary front seven for the Texans. Here we are with Seattle's pick. And this, at the beginning of 2017, was kind of the beginning of the fall, the Legion of Boom. I think by the end of this season, they're with Richard Sherman's gone. Cam Chancellor is not really there anymore because of injuries. Yeah, dude, the Legion of Boom is kind of gone at this point. And you know what they did? They actually, later in this draft, they drafted Shaquille Griffin. And I mean, you could wait till the second round. He ain't gonna be around. So let's go ahead. And honestly, he's the only guy, really, like only corner from this season, from the 2017 season, left on the roster. So I mean, he's the only guy that really emerged. So let's go ahead. Let's just grab him here, man. Let's just go ahead. Let's start moving on for the future. Let's grab Shaquille Griffin. Where are you at, homie? There you are. Oh, I like this pick. I like this pick. And I like this pick. I think a lot of people may disagree with me with this next pick with the Chiefs. But Derek Johnson, he was nearing retirement, and they really had no one else in that linebacker core. And I think another guy that is very underrated at the linebacker position, because there weren't very many, like there were like big names like Reuben Foster, you know, injuries, character stuff really derailed his career. Jared Davis, who this year suddenly decided he's a coverage corner, like actually putting out a career year. It really sucks for the Lions now. They've decided if they want to keep him or not. Zach Cunningham's really been playing bad the last couple of seasons. McMillan, has he even seen the field for the Raiders? Like, I mean, you got our boy Alex here for this, who's playing for the Saints. So there's some names here that are interesting, but I think by far the next best linebacker in this class was Jayon Brown. The dude is phenomenal in coverage, dude. He is one of the better coverage linebackers in all of football. I think he'd be a welcome addition to the Chiefs. I think he's worthy of a first round pick. In my opinion, he's the best linebacker on the Titans. So I'm really high on Brown. Other people might not be. Oh man, this pick's really gonna piss people off. So we got the the Cowboys here. Cowboys fans love how I redraft for their squad. This one was tough, man. Like going through trying to figure out who to go here. I was thinking about receiver potentially, but Cole Beasley's on the roster. So for me, Juju Smith-Schuster, I think honestly he's best at slot. He's really not as efficient as you would think he would be on the outside. Another guy that struggles with press, kind of like in the same boat as Cooper Kupp, except for Cooper Kupp has gotten very good this season at playing on the outside, where Smith-Schuster still kind of struggles in that regard. So I don't want to go there. They have Dez, but Dez is he's gone after a few. Terrence Williams, the guy that they thought would kind of emerge, doesn't really. So I didn't want to go with Smith-Schuster. I mean, you could make a case for secondary, but I was looking at Jason Witten. The dude would retire after the 2017 season. And I was like, okay, let's go with tight end. Okay, who do we have here at this point? Njoku? No. I was really thinking about either OJ Howard or Evan Ingram, because Evan Ingram kind of gets a bad rap. Like as a prospect coming into this draft, he was a guy that was mainly played in the slot for Ole Miss. Like, so it was like, a guy that is really gonna come in, just have to work on being an inline blocker. OJ Howard did not. He was probably one of the best block outside of Kittle, blocking tight ends in this draft class. And he shined at some points for Alabama as a receiving threat. So I think the Cowboys, they would have been cool with getting a guy that can come in and for this run heavy, you got Zeke in the backfield, come in and be a very good run blocker and slowly develop him, because he's got the tools to be a very good receiving target. We've seen it this year with Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, he got hurt. So I went with OJ Howard. People ain't gonna like it, but you know what? Screw it. All right, we're on to the Green Bay Packers here, and this is actually where I go with Juju Smith-Schuster. The guy, he's just too good to pass up at this point for me. I was just looking through this, and they had Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson's gone after the 2017 season. Randall Cobb will be gone after the 28th season. So why not reload, get some weapons? Smith-Schuster, he's definitely worthy of a first-round pick, but I had definite concerns. That's why he didn't go nearly as high. Pittsburgh Steelers here. You know what? This secondary really sucked for Pittsburgh. They had guys like Artie Burns and Sean Davis, who just never developed into being a starter. They had the journeyman himself, Mike Mitchell. So let's get him a quality safety, because I'm telling you, this class had some solid ones. And I ended up going with, I know you're here, John Johnson, dude. John Johnson the third. Put some respect on that dude's name. Throw the 3 behind it. The guy has been very good since entering the league. Borderline spectacular. If you take out the 2019 season where it was just kind of marred by injury, the guy's been extremely good for the Rams, and I think the Steelers would be very happy to have a player like him on the roster. On to the Atlanta Falcons, man. Let's not talk about the Super Bowl, am I right? So this one was a tough pick, because this was actually a pretty good roster for the Falcons. They ended up going pass rusher here, but I'm sure there's not a pass rusher that's first round worthy at this point. So I was looking at other places on the roster, and I looked at right tackle, right? So Ryan Schrader, he was pretty solid for Atlanta, but he ends up think retiring at the end. Not retiring, he was released by the Falcons, and then he just retired at the end of the 2018 season. So I was like, okay, let's get a guy that can stick at right tackle at this point, because that's kind of like, that's why you saw the Falcons going after Caleb McGarry out of Washington in the 2019 draft. The 19? It was the 19. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But that's why they addressed that position, in the draft. So I decided, okay, let's do that, because there is a guy, I think totally worth a late first rounder here, and it's Taylor Moton. The dude's been actually really good since becoming a starter in 2018 for the Panthers on the right side. I think they'd be happy with him in Atlanta. So yeah, I went with him there, man, because after that, dude, you could go Cam Robinson. There's really no one I look here that I'm like wanted to pick. This draft class was not good at the tackle or the interior offensive interior either. It just wasn't a good offensive line draft class. So we got the Saints here for the last pick. They grabbed Christian McCaffrey. And like I said, there's literally no one good at tackle. It would have been nice to get Moton, but it is what it is. And I'm like, at this point, I'm just looking for sure things, man. Who are some sure things? Solomon Thomas has some interesting upside, right? Malik Hooker. I didn't go with either of those guys. I went with Desmond Keane, man. Guy's been one of the best slot corners in the NFL. He's been very consistent. He's dabbled a bit at safety as well. So the Saints, you get a good piece here that you can kind of move around the secondary of the slot and the box. In Desmond King, like I said, man, he's one of the fewer sure things in this draft class. So I went with them there. Let's go ahead. Let's just take a look. I know people are gonna get mad about the Garrett and Watt. Honestly, pick your flavor. Adams may have went a bit too high, but I mean, they didn't need edge rusher at the time here. They didn't need corner because they had Ramsey and Boye. So I mean, you could have grabbed it. Honestly, I'm not opposed to grabbing George Kittle at 4. You know, in hindsight, I know Chris Godwin for the Panthers. A lot of people are gonna be pissed off about it's not Christian McCaffrey, but the Panthers don't have the luxury of drafting a luxury pick. You have Jonathan Stewart there. Get freaking receiving talent for Cam Newton. The Saints, they did have that luxury. I really like Mahomes and Galladay. I think that's a sick pairing there. Dalvin Cook, it hurts my soul that he goes that high, but the dude's one of the best running backs in the class when healthy. Running backs in the league, excuse me. I'm so used to draft talk, you know. People might be disappointed with Jonathan Allen because it's not a sexy pick, but he's been really good. Marshawn Lattimore, I know clown him, but the dude's got some serious upside when he decides to play. Bowles, I think people will be not satisfied. I think Broncos fans won't be satisfied with that, but get over it. He's a good pick. He's been a good pick for you guys. I think people might be a little mad that Kupp and Schuster didn't go earlier, but there were some real concerns. There were slot only guys through the first few seasons of their career. Even Smith-Schuster still. I think Dallas fans won't like the OJ Howard pick, but I think it's a good pick. But yeah, no, outside of that, I think we had ourselves a pretty darn good draft. And yeah, that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. This video is getting kind of long here. I don't want to keep y'all too much longer. Yeah, so until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.